Alrighty, Parliament, we've got a good video for you today talking about DMT, also known as dimethyltryptamine, one of the most potent psychedelics on the planet Earth. And we are going to share this with you because we are the home of Wise Up Wellness, where we want to make sure that you are educated when it comes to your own journey, when it comes to your own mental health, your own bodily health, and we are going to do our best to make sure that you can make the right educated decisions so that you don't do something that you regret. So let's just let's just dump it all on the table and let's just start talking about it, right? So what is DMT? DMT is called dimethyltryptamine. It is basically the spirit molecule. It is something that is created in our pineal gland, and our pineal gland is at the very center, almost called it's called the third eye. It's basically like somewhere here and here in the center, and basically the pineal gland secretes this substance called dimethyltryptamine, DMT for short. And DMT is quite a unique, I don't even want to call it a drug, but I suppose it is it's a unique compound because it is in every living organism. You can extract it from plants. When you look at down in the Amazon jungle, when everybody is utilizing ayahuasca, ayahuasca is two parts. It is one part Mimosa hostilis, and that is basically you can get your DMT from here, and then the other one is called an MAOI inhibitor. Basically what that is doing is making the DMT last longer in your body. So why does all this happen? Well, because we naturally create DMT when we're dreaming, right? Every night you're tripping on DMT. And when you get the first big dose when you're a baby, when you come into the body, and I believe it's Buddhist and Hindu, they believe that after 40 days, it's when the soul or the spirit comes into the body. It's also to do with DMT being produced in the body. And also when we die, our brains secrete the largest flood dose of DMT, almost like a passage through to the next dimension or the next reality. It's metabolized quickly in the body, meaning that its duration is pretty short. So when you are smoking DMT, it will typically take 8 to 15 minutes of your time. That's it. And when you take some of these MAOI inhibitors, it basically slows down that metabolism process so that that journey is more like, 4 to 8 hours. And so let's talk a little bit about it, and then I can also talk about the differences between ayahuasca and then the differences between DMT. And so having consumed both of these, and actually I've consumed a lot of DMT over my life, and I feel very fortunate that I have managed to experience that, because it definitely gave me, I actually was an atheist. I actually was a non-believer in God until I tried DMT. I was, I grew up Catholic, Irish, had a death in my young, it's like primary school. So a girl in my class died when, I was like probably 12. And I remember saying to myself, and I think all of us sort of had this catalyst somewhere in our childhood or somewhere along the lines where we come to this conclusion of, well, if God was real, they wouldn't have done this, right? Like if God was real, then, this girl would have survived. So I went down this sort of route of, turning your back, and you'll always find out that it's us turning the back, right? It's always us turning our back. And so for many years I was, there's no God, there's none of this, I don't believe in any of that. And when I smoked DMT, it was like everything in my whole existence had teed up for that one specific moment. I'd heard about it. I was always wondering would I be able to try some. My friend ended up doing an extraction, and basically we sat down for this experience. So if you could have a level like 1 to 10, I had like a level 12, right? Like I was like, my friend was like, people can't die from this, right? Like I was like, But let's talk about how you use it, and then I'll get into the experience a little bit. So it comes in like a powder, it's yellow or white, and basically it will be typically vaped, or you can smoke it too. You could put it in a joint. If people don't like joints, you can use other herbs to use it. And when you smoke this or vape it, it is, so basically you take an inhale, hold it for as long as you can, exhale, take the second rip, exhale, and if you can get to the third, by the time you blow out on the exhale, you won't be here anymore. So what does that mean, right? Where do you go when you're no longer here? And so if you've ever looked at like Alex and Alison Gray, that's where you go, right? All of that like most beautiful art in this other sort of colorful dimension where it's almost like you're trapped, and I also know this is like, it's very difficult to possibly conceptualize to someone who's never tried it to what it is like, because there's no words that I can give you to possibly let you know of the beauty and the love and the experience that you feel on the other side. And the amazing thing about this is like, imagine this, you get to experience that when you die, or you can pluck up the courage and try it now and see what's on the flip side and come back. And so for me, after I came back, so again, just think about this, like I'm in my body, and then there's this poof where like my consciousness, whatever is in this thing called loop, is no longer here. And so my consciousness is in another place. And that other place has been studied that people see the same things. It's like you go to this other place, and it doesn't matter if you're trying it for the first time, multiple times, you go back to these same places. And so whether this is a construct in our minds we've created, or is this another dimension, I lean towards it's another dimension that we can only access through this, or later on in the path, right? This is a physical existence. We have plenty of other dimensions. And I came back from that, and I was like, we're all one. We're all interconnected. How can I be doing better for my body? How can I be doing better for the planet? How can I be doing all of these things? And it was like the light switch was turned on, and I would just, you can't ever turn it back off. And there's much more compassion, understanding, and so introspective, right? Like a lot of time people talk about faith and shamans in the jungle, right? You don't need to have faith. You can just go and take ayahuasca and go see it for yourself, right? When you see these other like entities, spiritual beings, whatever it is, of just positivity and love, you can't unsee that, right? You can't then not experience that. And so the funny thing is, because DMT is metabolized so quickly, if you don't use the MAOI inhibitor, it's in 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you're back. And then you start to forget, just like a dream, right? You forget where was I, what did I do? Good to have a journal, write it down, this is what I was experiencing. And I also want to say too, is that I did treat this a little recreationally, right? Where I was like, I think I'm gonna come home after work and I'm gonna, pop over to the other side. Nuh-uh, no. Because when you treat something with disrespect, it will spit you back out. And so all of that, how I would like to explain it is, if you are someone who you want to just consume and not put anything back in, then that thing that you were consuming will eventually eat you. And so think about like love, compassion, positivity, light, the most beautiful art being given to you, shown to you, trying to give you as much information before you wake back up into this reality, turns into faceless entities, black, brown, dark, green colors, suction from you, not giving to you, and eventually you're just like, okay, not gonna do that anymore. And so it really humbles you, and that's what I find with a lot of psychedelics is like, yeah, you can see these people that are, whooped out, I suppose, is the thing, right? Where it's sort of like you're not really a part of any society, you're just taking mushrooms all the time, you want to live in nature, fine. But to a lot of people, they want to be a part of society, don't want to really go that far out. And so I think that for a lot of mushrooms or any psychedelics, it's difficult to abuse them. No, you don't really abuse them because you will get humbled so quickly and put on your ass that it's not like, give that to me again tomorrow. You're like, I'm going to question that. Why are these things? Why do I do these things to myself? Why do I, treat myself like this? And so with ayahuasca, when you go down, like, just think about this. What we are dealing with is, and that's why it's very important about set and setting. I'll talk about that in another video. But your set, just very quickly, your set and your setting comes back to how are you internally, right? If you're struggling and you're really not doing well, I would not advise you taking any psychedelics unless you had somebody there that was sober and could maybe help guide you through. And then your setting, where are you? Who are you around? Are you around safe people? Are you going to be in an uncomfortable environment? Are you in a new environment? Are you in an environment that you can trust? Are you going to be just like, partying, right? All of these things come back to how is my inner consciousness and how's my mental state? Is this a good thing for me to do? And so with ayahuasca, for instance, you have a shaman that is very well versed on the other side. And so he or she is there to protect you and protect your energy, your sphere, your space. Because in the same way, I always like to look at like, as above, so below. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And so the inside is the outside. The way that the world is going on right now is a direct reflection of the average of each and every one of us and the troubles that we all share. And so when you are when I like to look at like, well, how have we enslaved the animal kingdom, right? Well, we need it for food or whatever, and that's here nor there. But we have made the decision as a human race that we're going to enslave the animal kingdom for our benefit. And I'll just say this, is there possibly other entities, spirits that would do the same thing to humans? Absolutely. And so when you are taking some of these psychedelics and you don't have the right environment or the protection or the spiritual guide or a shaman to protect you, you don't know what you're opening yourself up to. And so when that happens, sometimes people can have negative experiences or tough experiences because they weren't in the right state of mind or the right space. So overall, I will say that it is, people who are afraid of death, right? Like people who are afraid of their existence, DMT, mushrooms can really, really help with that. And again, when you start like, do the math yourself, look up the stats. When you start to see like, no one's dying really from this stuff at all. And then yet we have alcohol, which is just so many people are dying, and cigarettes, and so many people are dying. And it's like, here you go, everybody, just keep doing that. And you gotta start asking yourself the question, why are we giving all these things that do not serve us, right? Why are we all put into these sort of, this sort of slave economy, right? Where it's like, and I'm a capitalist, don't get me wrong, I'm a capitalist here, right? But I'm a more of a capitalist not to the detriment of the human experience, right? So sort of having a little bit of, I don't know, love for humans at the same time as wanting to make money, right? But this video is not about that. This video is about DMT, and so that's what we're gonna stick to. So I just want to wrap it all up here. It's like, I don't think you should ever make decisions based on fear. I think that we are, as a society, opening ourselves up more to our vibration is elevating. We're actually going up and up and up. And so when you are, the first is oh, a little bit of marijuana, right? And the people who, you know, are old parents, whatever, all these don't want to take marijuana. And then it's like, oh, look, mushrooms. Mushrooms, by the way, have been legal in Oregon. They've just turned legal. So I'm going to be doing more and more stuff around mushrooms and DMT. And so then you have mushrooms, and then you've got all these others where we begin to ask questions about ourselves, our souls, where do we come from, what's the meaning of all this, how do we find peace? And these psychedelics really help with that. So if you find this information useful, please let us know. Please share some information about DMT if you've tried it before. And for all of you, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.